anyways, starting this year-end list, I got 12. I got 12 on this list, and at the starting out with Captain America: Brave New World at the bottom of this list. And unfortunately, I really wanted to like this movie more than I did. I came into this with Anthony Mackie. He's kind of like this legacy character that's grown from the Falcon and through the Winter Soldier, and we got to take on the mantle of Captain America. And I really dig that. I kind of did before. I was kind of against that idea. I wanted Anthony Mackie to be his own character. Like, why can't he just be the Falcon? I just wish that the story had more for him to do. In this kind of like Avengers post-Avengers Endgame world that they've set up, the stakes are like, what, they don't have no more big bad enemies to create threats for our heroes to overcome and face and challenges. It's just like, you can't keep one-upping yourself with just like bad after bad after bad. So they just did what they could to just pull out this like B-C level character villain from the toy box, and that Harrison Ford, could you make us some money and some toys and put your face on a bunch of marketing promotion material? And he did. They made him into the Red Hulk, and it's like a fanboy's dream, I guess. Like whenever he came into the MCU, I was like, oh, that's cool. He does some things. He has some range as an actor, I guess. Yeah, he has he's angry, so I thought that was like perfect role for him to embody this kind of Thunderbolt Ross character, and in the way he like transforms himself into this Hulk. I think the plot was a little bit contrived in how we get there, but once it gets there, it's like, what else matters? I just feel like it's a little bit mismatched, because Anthony Mackie, his Captain America character as Sam Wilson, he's supposed to be like more aspirational. He's like something that people can look up to, can aspire to be, not something that's like a larger than life figure that people could never even think about becoming, like Steve Rogers was in Captain America. I think that Sam Wilson, being an actual military vet, he was also a counselor. He was like a counselor leader and like a group counseling leader for soldiers with post-traumatic stress. And I think that his character has a lot of heart, and people really like his character. His character brings a lot of warmth into the room. When people see him, his character, they always like greet him very passionately. You know, everybody seems to like him. He's just like a good guy to be around, and it just seems like he's like just still like doing a lot to live up to that Captain America shield and moniker. But he's definitely like a good guy to be around. It's just this, they just don't give him enough to do. I mean, he has wings. He has like a wingsuit and a shield, but just every time that he engages in anything like that, it's just CGI, and it kind of feels a little bit less real. But there were moments in the movie where he does like engage in hand-to-hand combat without any kind of help, equipment, or suits or anything like that. And I did think that was like probably the most interesting aspect of the movie. Honestly, it was grounded. It was not like fantastical, and it was like, it felt real. I was like, oh, this is gritty, this is real, this is like, this feels good right now. But then it just kind of divulges into like larger than life Marvel spectacle, and it was great. It was a great blockbuster experience, but I just did not walk away feeling anything else but just like, wow, that was cool, that was badass. That was a badass fight between the Falcon and the Hulk, between Captain America and the Hulk, and the Red Hulk. But it just there's not enough takeaways from there that keep me wanting to go back to this movie as much as I wanted to. I think the Anthony Mackie's character is like aspirational for sure, but I just wish he had more to do, and hopefully that they take his character and more, and he actually like lives up to that moniker instead of just kind of like filling out the suit. And moving into the next video, on number 11, we got Jurassic World Rebirth. And I actually didn't mind this movie as much as so many other people did. This movie, whenever I heard about it, I was not like excited about it or anything. I was really getting into Jurassic World games and stuff like that, into the lore of it. But the movie just did not interest me. I mean, it's just another Jurassic Park movie with new characters, new faces, new fodder, new things to feel, right? But it just didn't go any places that were like new for a lot of people. So everyone was just like, oh, it's just the same thing over again. But I actually like that. It's just like it's not like, if you don't think about it too much, it's just like you go in, you sit down, you watch a movie, you have a good time, and you kind of like move on. It's nothing like really like deeper than that. And it's okay to have movies like that. I think most people just kind of like were disappointed. People just wanted to like reinvent the wheel or something like that. But it's a Jurassic World movie that has like some great set pieces, some great spectacle, and I actually like the characters this time around. Scarlett Johansson as a mercenary character, she doesn't have like a whole lot to do, but she has like principles as a character, and she's like steady and driven, and has like a sense of humor about her that's like is like deflecting from like a darker sense. So that's real about her. Like that character, like that makes it. I think that's like what makes it fun, is because like the character obviously does hold on to a lot of trauma from whatever her past may be, but she deflects with humor, and so that kind of like keeps the tone of the movie going. So you can see these people just like so much death and destruction going on, but her character is still like steady forging on, and I think that it makes sense tonally for her character and the other characters around. There's also a family character that's present, and I think that a family dynamic that's present, like a whole another set of characters, and I think that really works well as like an audience insert for just other people to like get see themselves a part of this story, this grand adventure. And I think it just really works for that. I think for the audience, for the family characters, I think that's where the heart actually lies, within that family dynamic, and then these scientists and mercenaries like coming together. And so I think there was like actually a surprising amount of heart in this movie. It just doesn't like go any new places where people are expecting. I don't know. I think that's the commentary that the movie has itself too. It's like people are tired of dinosaurs. People are just tired of seeing dinosaurs. It's just not good enough for them. Like the first movie came out and it was just dinosaurs, and the spectacle of seeing dinosaurs was beyond anything that could be imagined today, with how special effects work now. But it just cannot capture that same awe and wonder that the first one did. But it still always tries to replicate that with the commentary of just like, people just don't want to see dinosaurs anymore. We got to do something different. We got to do a scientific experiment of a dinosaur and a monster. And so this is kind of like a monster movie more than it's like a dinosaur movie in the end. But I think it really works. It's nothing like grand or gonna blow you out of the water or be anything new, but it's a good fun time to be able to watch, and that's why it's at number 11 for me. And then coming in at number 10, we got the Minecraft movie. The Minecraft movie was actually an enjoyable time to watch. I did not plan to watch it. It was an impromptu watch. I did want to see it, but I did not like think that I would go see it in the theaters when I did. It was just kind of like, I asked my sister, like, hey, what are you doing? Let's go check out the Minecraft movie. Looks like there's like a big buzz around it. Let's go see it right now. Wow, there's people in the theater. I think that would be like really fun. But whenever I did see the trailers, I would say like, yeah, dude, that's something I do want to see. It looks fun. It looks like silly. It looks like something I'd be into. And other people would be like, oh, you want to see it like ironically or what? Like, no, I actually want to enjoy the movie because it looks fun and funny, and it's actually by Jared Hess, who has that awkward tone of humor from Napoleon Dynamite and Nacho Libre, which are like some of my favorite comedy movies, just because they're just like so awkward but still so funny and irreverent. And so I think it really like sticks that landing with the tone, and just like keeps that with Jason Momoa's character and Jack Black, of course. And I feel so jealous about like those kids that get to like see this movie and envision themselves a part of like the kid, and he's like just like they're creating stuff, and people don't understand him, but he's just a creator. His mind works differently, and I think that's like so cool. I would have ate that up as a kid, just like to envision myself in this world, to like create anything you want that your mind can imagine. The imagination of a kid is like beyond. So yeah, I'm jealous of the kids get to see themselves in that movie and enjoy themselves in the movie, in the world, because I feel more closely like aligned with like Jason Momoa's character. He's just like kind of like a loser living past his prime, living in the past of retro nostalgia, you know. But I think that works for the character. It makes it for a fun time, just like to not take himself too seriously as an actor, and just kind of like laugh at him and be the butt of the joke. I think that was like a lot of fun. The theater experience for this movie was definitely something that was the theater experience for this movie had everybody like quoting every like line that was in the trailer. So it was fun. It was one of those fun experiences that you feel like you can only like experience in the theater like once whenever it comes out, because it's like there's so much fan excitement and hype in the room that like people are just like so eager to be a part of this experience. And I think that was like something memorable that I have for this movie that I really like. And then coming at number 9, we have Wicked for Good. Wicked for Good is, I actually like this one better than the original one, the one that came out the year before, than actually just Wicked. The sequel was so much better. The original, the first one, it was just kind of like setting up all the story, setting up the characters. It's just like so much of this high school bopper drama of like love triangles, and she doesn't understand me, and I want to do good in this school and stuff like that. It just didn't really land for me. It just sets up all the characters and like how they get to be who they are, yeah, but it was just a lot of setup and filler that I just did not care for. But I'm pretty sure a lot of people did like it, and of course all the music tracks, a part of the first act, are definitely more memorable that people enjoy. So I understand why so many people like the first one rather than the second one, Wicked for Good, but the second one is not bad by any means. It is actually really good. Why I prefer it is because it's so much more serious, and it has like darker themes to it, and it just kind of like things just like start off rolling. Like there's no more character introductions. It's just like, you know, everybody's all set up, and you're here for the ride. You're set up, and you just hit the ground running. And I think that's like the best, honestly. It just like, it felt so rewarding to just like finally get into this movie and see these characters like actually grow and become different characters and like become different people, from just like the one note characters that they were set up as in Wicked. So I actually really like the complexity of this one so much more, for each character just to have so much more to do, just so much more to feel. I think the first movie for me, it kind of just boils down to like, oh my gosh, no one understands me, and oh my gosh, she's green, and then it's like, ew. And then I don't know, this one just had so much more going for it. It was one of the ones that I also watched with my family. I watched the first one with my family on Thanksgiving time because it was like a special memory for my mom, because Wizard of Oz was always one of those movies that came around Thanksgiving on TV before you could like rent movies and buy movies like that. So it was just like a strong association with Thanksgiving. And so whenever we got to see Wicked and Wicked for Good on Thanksgiving, it was a pretty memorable experience, and I feel like it really drove home those kind of Wizard of Oz themes, and had new themes for a new day and age of like 2025 presence of truth and power and influence. And I really like that for Wicked for Good. I really like that at all. Coming at number 8, I got Weapons. Weapons is a movie by some director, I don't know who, but I actually did like this movie. It was something that I did not expect. I remember just seeing the trailers of it. It was like a new horror movie. I remember seeing the trailers on cable, actually, on TV. I don't have cable access here at home, but at the bar that I work at, we have a bunch of TVs, and I remember that trailer coming up and stirring a bunch of conversation about what it is, if it looks good or if it looks bad, and what it means. Like the idea of like all these school children missing, and then the title being Weapons. It had like a lot of implications. It was very charged kind of conversation around that, but I think that was like great marketing. And the movie kind of just like starts off with that premise of like, these children are missing and we haven't seen them since, and that's the story. And it's kind of like a thrilling mystery, just like all the way through to the end of like figuring out what's going on and what's going to happen and how this is going to change, or how this is going to go back to normal. And spoiler alert, things don't go back to normal. And that's kind of like the idea, the premise that kind of like it keeps you with. It's just like, in the end, there is a little bit of levity, but it does not just go back to where it was, because it's just like things change. Sometimes events change people, and I think that's one of these messages of the movie, of just like I don't know, it can change people, and what I also got from it is like that social acceptance of like things people are willing to accept and things people don't nod their head to and stuff like that. I actually really enjoyed Weapons a lot, and thrilling movie. I like it's one of those movies that kind of like sits you with the character and then gets to the next character, next character, next character, and it's like a ride from throughout, and it just kind of like unfolds, unravels the story of what's happening, what's really happening, what's behind, what's going on here, and it was a great journey in that. Number 7, at number 7 we got another horror movie, and this is Bring Her Back. I would say, I mean, horror is a little bit different now. It's not just like jump scares and monsters these days. So horror is just like a catch-all term, but I would say this one's like, it's not as much of a horror. It's kind of just like a movie that has like some like body horror elements and some like it definitely turns into one at the end, but it starts off as more like a slow build kind of movie. And for some people that can turn them off and make them say, if they're sold on a horror movie and it kind of like starts off really slow, that it's just not good. But I think that's makes it a good movie on its own. This is from the Rocker team who did Talk to Me, and that movie was kind of like a fun, entertaining, lively exploration of like teens and social media and kind of like linking it to this horror trope. This one was a little bit more laid back, a little bit subdued about this brother and sister dynamic that are like adopted into this foster situation, and things aren't always as they seem, and start to uncover of like a more unsettling truth of what's actually going on here. And I think that was great. It was a really great unfolding of the story of like what's happening now, what's happening there, and it goes different places where you think it's not going to go, and you think it's going to happen one way, but it does go a different way. And you're really rooting for these characters. I think the sibling dynamic is really strong in this movie. The two characters just like have this dynamic that just like really works well, that you just buy into them being siblings and like their dynamic. And the sister character, she's actually visually impaired. She's like partially blind, almost fully blind, to where she can like she needs assistance and some everyday things, and you can tell that her brother is like a caretaker for her in that way, like looks after her in a sense. So there's like an added tension of like the dynamic between them two and their situation, the precarious situations that they find themselves in throughout. And I think that does a lot to like add, it makes the premise a bit more interesting, and the actual actress is visually impaired, so it's a pretty good representation, and I think everyone does a pretty good job in this movie. In the end, you think like, this was this even like a story about the two children, or was this a story about the adoptive parents? Or like, it makes you think about what that. Definitely one to check out. And for number 6, we got Final Destination Bloodlines. Final Destination is a good series. I've seen mostly all of them, I think. I'm not like a huge fan where I'm like, oh my god, I love these movies, but I mean, they're fun, right? They're fun times just to like be like, oh, that was grody, that was crazy. But Bloodlines as an interesting mix. It comes so many years after the last one. I think the last one was kind of like, I don't know, it seemed like some of them were just been like direct to video, kind of like cheaply done. I remember there was one that was like produced with like a 3D gimmick, and it was kind of like, it was really not all that. So there's like a hit and miss with Final Destination, but this one looked like it was going to be really good just from the trailer alone. You can just tell from the teaser trailer what kind of movie it was going to be, even if you didn't see the title. And just like, that's how you know that a franchise has like an identity, has a weight. And so the producers, they really brought it back to just like practical effects and stunts and stuff like that. And I think it was really great. It really shows, and all the characters are really great. You can just connect with each of the characters. I think it's really interesting the way they do this kind of like family dynamic, the way that like none of these characters should have existed if the matriarch was never supposed to be alive. So once she's gone, all these characters just start falling out in order of their birth, of how they were born. And I think that's a very interesting premise that kind of changes up like the formula of Final Destination, instead of just being like one big accident premonition. And it still has that, but it's like years later, do the characters actually like meet a demise that was not even intended for them because they were never supposed to exist. And so I think it's a great premise for it. It sets up some interesting set pieces, some interesting kills. One that really got me was the MRI machine, of course, but the peanut allergy, the one where he's like choking on the peanut, like that was crazy. Like I that's just like, that gave me anxiety. I was just like, kind of like, my breath felt like it stopped. I feel like I could barely breathe, and I was just like at the edge of my seat, like, what's gonna happen? Oh my god. But after the movie, right after that scene is where the movie kind of just like falls off, where the characters are just like, oh my god, we're next, and they leave, and then they explode, and it's the end. The movie ends just like that, and there's really like no climactic finality to it, because it's like, how do you beat death? How do you defy death? How do you have a showdown against death unless you just die? And that's pretty much what happens in a kind of comedic way, which I think is like, it holds true to what the franchise has been doing, of just like, kind of like, it's like tongue-in-cheek with like the black comedy of like the horror aspects of it, of how it's just dark but still like funny in a way. And I think that this one kind of like leaned into that more than any other one, with like some like just like bleak moments that are supposed to make people laugh. And I think that it really worked. The tone really worked for this movie in that sense. Then coming at number 5, we got Good Fortune. Good Fortune is one movie that I did not expect to see this year. It was I remember but no, it wasn't that. I didn't know it was like written and directed by Aziz Ansari for his like directorial debut. So I was like, you know what, I'll check it out. I remember Aziz Ansari from Parks and Rec and checking out his stand-up, so I'll check it out, see what it's about. And it actually had a life. And so this kind of movie reminds me of that, like a holiday movie, but I don't know the religion of these characters or what their beliefs are, but it's never like explicitly stated that it's like a holiday movie. But I did watch it like in December, and like I was like, there was like some like colorful lights strung up in the backgrounds of some settings. So I was like, is this like a holiday movie that's like it was like greenlit as a holiday movie, or like changed from a holiday movie, because it's like, and kind of like shows Aziz is really that foil to Aziz's character of like, it's okay to not have it all figured out. And I think that was good, because like Seth Rogen's character, like the rich guy character, is like, it's like a prince in the proper situation, but it goes in more ways and more interesting places than you think. You think it's going to be like straightforward, just kind of like one initiation for your life after all in the end. And it takes a lot to get there, but it does get there in the end. And I think that it holds up for that. And moving on to number 4, we got the Fantastic Four First Steps, coming out this past year in 2025. And of course I had to put it at number 4. I mean, it was a really great movie. I wanted to put it at like number 3, but I was like, no, I gotta put it at number 4, of course. But yes, I remember when the promotional material for this movie came out, it just did not feel real. Like, even looking at this poster right now, it just does not feel like a real movie that I watched, that people went on set to make and act in, just because it just felt like a dream whenever I first saw the promotional material for the movie. The posters with them in their costume, that the cast announced in their costumes, like, it was great. They looked fantastic. They looked phenomenal, with the kind of retro futuristic style, where they're all kind of like in this 1950s style, but it's like everything's futuristic and there's cool stuff like that. I think that was an amazing like stylistic choice to place this characters in the world, and that's just like what sold me on in the beginning. If it was just like the Fantastic Four and just like any other MCU story tone, I probably would not have been into it, to be honest, just because like I'm kind of like have like Marvel fatigue with like all the whole MCU and just like the whole thing. But this was like refreshing. It felt like completely new. It felt like it did not have to adhere to like the world and universe already set by the MCU. So it just felt like its own standalone movie, which I really appreciated for someone that feels like fatigued by the biggest franchise ever, the biggest movie franchise ever. But this had some great moments in it. The characters are awesome. I wish for more character dynamics between them. It's all just like implied, because it's like the characters are already the characters are already well established into their careers of fighting. They're already 4 years in of their established careers of fighting crime or doing whatever they do on small scales, but now they have to face like something on a scale that they've never faced before. So this is where you kind of get introduced to them, and right at the start you see why Pedro Pascal was cast as this role and why he works so perfectly, for me at least. Is just like his role as a father figure in this team, but also like in his own life. The way his reaction whenever Sue Storm actually becomes pregnant and they realize they having a kid after trying so hard because of the cosmic radiation, thinking that they could never have a kid, and just like their elation that they feel, and just like the whole journey that they go throughout the whole movie is just kind of like so solely focused on Franklin Richards from start to finish. And I did not think that he would have like a sole focus in this movie. I remember from the trailers, like Sue Storm's belly bump was just like hidden from CGI'd out of the trailers just to like ease fan speculation of what it might be like. But I did not think that he would be a full character to be focused essentially in the movie, and just the exact role he would play. I did not expect to feel for the baby character in this movie as much as I did, but I really felt for Pedro Pascal's plight as a father, in that I am not a father, but just I could see it in his face, just like the anguish of just trying to do everything he can for his son, and ultimately failing in the end. And it just seems like, I don't know, it seems like it made so much more sense why they cast Pedro Pascal for this role once you realize how central a father figure he is as a father in this iteration of the character. And I think everything there just like worked for me, and just was like the best version of the Fantastic Four I have seen. And fourth time's the charm, because just the whole sequence from them going to go see Galactus, them going to go in space to go see Galactus, and then coming back and having the press conference was just like mind-blowing. It was a mind-blowing experience, like just like from start to finish, just the way that they handled everything. I loved it. It was truly fantastic. Then at number 3, we have Ryan Coogler's Sinners, starring Michael B. Jordan and a whole host of other great talented actors. I really enjoyed Sinners. This was something that I was gonna see regardless, because I love Ryan Coogler. He's done amazing movies that I've enjoyed, like Fruitvale Station, Black Panther, of course, Creed movies, and all with Michael B. Jordan. He's one of my favorite actors, so I just love to see Michael B. Jordan in anything. If he's in a movie, I'm there. I'm gonna see it, just regardless. I don't know why, but he's just like he just does it for me as an actor. And Sinners was no different. I saw the teaser trailers, did not know what it was about, but it looked like it was like the South and old time America. So I was like, you know what? Let's check that out. Looks like it'll be an interesting story. Turned out to be way more cooler than I thought. From the first trailer, I had no idea that there was even vampires in it. It's just like kind of like a hidden. It just like sneaks up on you in the halfway through point of the movie. It starts off a little slow. You get to introduce yourself to the characters and what they're about, and then once the vampire is introduced, once that whole idea of vampires are introduced around this juke joint, then that's when the story starts getting going. And I like this idea of like it takes place over one night, over one day, and just like this juke joint is like the central focus, the central setting. But so much here happens, it's like it's not limited in that sense at all. It's just like a whole story, a whole night, a whole adventure. And I think there's so many great set pieces of this. Like the music is central. The music is the best part of this, honestly. The pastor, one of the characters, the character who plays music, his father is a pastor who warns him against playing music for the devil, because he's gonna get caught up in it or bring the devil home. And it just has this whole idea of like faith and music and spirituality, and like the way other characters feel about spirituality, about their own personal spirituality. And I think that's really cool, that everybody just has their own faith in this movie, and it goes different places. Cinders was really cool. I'm running out of things to say. All right, at number 2 we got Zootopia 2, and this was one that I was not expecting. I was never expecting a sequel to Zootopia 2. I mean, once I saw the first Zootopia, I saw it with my sister like in 2016. I was just like, oh, talking animal movie, that seems cool. I like talking animal movies. There's like a bunch of puns in there, but it actually turned out to be like a lot deeper. It had to like do with like prejudice and societal judgments and stuff like that. And so I think it actually like went some places. It was pretty real for a Disney movie featuring talking animals. And so I was interested to see where Zootopia 2 would go, but it was not something that was like at the top of my list to check out. But as it got closer, as I would see more of the marketing for Zootopia 2, I was like, I just couldn't help it. I felt like this looks so fun. It looks like a fun time. The snake, the characters, the animation, the trailers, it just looked all so fun. And so it had already came out, and I was just like kept on seeing trailers for it, kept on seeing people reviews about it saying it was actually not bad at all. It kind of like holds up. Some people are saying better than the second one, some people are saying the first one's better. So I was like, you know what, I gotta check this out for myself. It was not something that I had put on my list to be able to like, yeah, I'm gonna check this one out. But once I was there, I was like, you know what, I'm glad I did. I'm glad I checked this out. I couldn't imagine not checking this out. It ended up being on my number two spot for the year-end list, because it's just that enjoyable. I would say all the characters are just like really enjoyable. The first movie kind of just like sets up this dynamic of Nick and Judy, kind of like enemies to partners kind of thing, and it just, they go through that arc of like how they work together. Can they work together? Can these two people make it? And the second movie starts off like right where they left off, but it doesn't like retread any of those things. I feel like it actually has the characters grow, and I really appreciate that whenever characters in animated movies especially can grow and like evolve and be new versions of themselves. And I feel like Zootopia really allowed their characters to do that. And I feel like the dynamic between Nick and Judy really did deepen a lot. Like the first movie was good. I mean, the first movie was good, but this movie is like great just for the fact of like their dynamic alone is just like, it's palpable. The tension between them two, whenever they start getting into it, like with the carrot scene on the cliff, that was tense. That was just like, there's so much tension, and it's like it's built up from the first movie. If you like know the carrot pen, the recording carrot pen or whatever, and just like the kind of like significance that holds in the first movie, and just the way it continues over like years later, and still just to feel that weight when it falls, it's just truly heartbreaking. But the dynamic between them, I think, is great. But I personally believe they should stay partners. I don't think that they should ever ship these two characters. Not that Disney ever would, but there's so many fans that constantly fans ship these characters together romantically. When I think that kind of like misses the point. The point where they work together so well is because they're like platonic partners, but they still talk about their dynamic between each other as partners, as partners on a case, partners in crime, or partners on a crime case, because they talk about how their differences play against each other, how their strengths play to help each other. And I think that's a really unique dynamic that is not lost on me. It was really great. That really hit hard for me. And of course, all the joke puns, all the animal puns within the movie are perfect. You know, just it from the start, just like it's a movie that knows what it is and gets going. All the puns within the Zootopia, this whole city, and you just like see it from the beginning. And I think that was just like a lot of fun. It's just a great time, and with a surprising amount of heart between the two characters and their dynamic that I feel like anybody can enjoy. And for number 1, we got Superman 2025 by James Gunn. James Gunn's Superman, and I really appreciated James Gunn's take on this character. I did not think that we'd be able to see a Superman with such levity, with such light, with such whimsy, with such hopeful attitude. The last Superman we got was Zack Snyder's take on Man of Steel, and it was just so drab. It was just like being Superman was just like a burden that could only be conveyed in like stoic looks, not even in words, because that's how artistic Zack Snyder was. And it just kind of like lost so much of the character. I mean, yeah, just like lost so much of the character. And Man of Steel was cool for a spectacle in the theater, right? Whatever. But this is the Superman 2025 is like has heart that I can feel, that I can carry with me, that I can like impose onto others, that I can take away. You know, it has a feeling that is worth like looking up. It's worth being hopeful. And that's like the central idea of this character, of this iteration of the character, is that hope is punk rock. In a world where so much cynicism is like so much of the world is cynical, and cynicism is just everywhere, so much just like a skeptic, or just like ironic. Sincerity is so ironic, right? I think it's more important than ever for sincerity and genuineness to be like real, you know, or for hope to be alive, for someone to hold on to hope, not naively, but like optimistically, like steadfast in a way that's like, I don't know, just worth fighting for. Honestly, this movie, it just like, it resonates for me on a personal level. Like, I wish I could just like convey all of it, but I just think James Gunn did a great job in like conveying this kind of like new version of Superman. And there's so many people that didn't like it, like it's not their Superman, but I think it really works. I think that James Gunn's Superman really works in this day and age to make it 2025. What is Superman like in this modern day? Because it really holds true with like the ideas of like media, information, communication, truth, power, influence, and not justice. No, I don't think that's like a subjective term, though. A subjective term in terms of like truth and perspective. And so justice is like, it's like a subjective thing, but like all those other themes are very much present in this movie, like in ways that are only like could be done in a modern day. Like, I think this idea that like Superman holds true to hope is like counter to everyone around him. I think that still holds true. Like, it was even present in the 1970s version of Christopher Reeve's Superman, wherever his Superman was just seen as a little bit hokey, old time kind of thing from Golden Age comics. But I think this still holds up pretty well. The idea of like him being counterculture to other people, and I think that's what makes him punk rock. And for that alone, just like the whole movie just works for me. The dog, Lois Lane, the Lex Luthor, it just all like connects. And that's probably what I would say is my number one pick. That's what my number one pick is for 2025. That's how I would rank it. It was so good. It just kept on having me think about the movie for the rest of the year, and just watching it multiple times over and over again. It was just that good. I couldn't get enough of this movie. Still can't. For whatever the sequel may be, regardless, this movie on its own was phenomenal. It was great for me. And I think that's where I'll wrap up the 2025 countdown list. Definitely went on longer than I expected. I could just wish I had just more concise things to say, but just kind of like rambled on at each point. Didn't really have like a script or anything, so it is what it is. Just a little bit more impromptu, kind of improvised style. Maybe I will edit it a couple parts down. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just kind of like leave it up as a continuous live stream on my archive channel. But I'm glad I got to actually like see this list through. I mean, I saw a lot of movies this year, but to put it onto a list and to like break it all down, it's I don't know. I like doing stuff like that. It means a lot to me. Anyways, that's where I'll leave it. Till next time, this has been LoneStar 98. It is now 2026.